Greetings and welcome back, class. Class 15. Just a heads up, no class next week. Fall break, all that stuff, you know. So we're going to take a break for next week.
It's called a hiatus for us.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
We hope.
this is our third of 3 classes on the very roots of how the heart of religion gets made. Religions are made by imagination-fueled stories, narratives, and myths. We've seen in the previous 2 classes the power of stories and narratives. In my field, these are often called myths. And we'll get to the definition of a myth very quickly. And by the way, it's not something that's untrue. So in this final class on stories and myths, and it will be a rowdy one, I promise you, we'll look at actual stories or myths by which we actually live and flourish and make this complex world and universe just a little bit more understandable.
Just a tiny bit. Tiny bit. But a myth, folks, it does not have to be capital T, big T, true, right? To be effective and operational in our lives, to help us live, to help us make decisions, to live a whole and functional and happy life. It just has to be believed as true. We have to believe it to be true by a critical minority, right, of the people in the society in which they live.
Case in point, we're going to start this show with a powerful clip from the very first episode of The Newsroom that premiered on HBO in 2012. And believe me, it has lost none of its power. See on the other side, and oh, by the way, it has some language. But we want you to see that myths have such a power that they could utterly create meaning or destroy meaning. So pay attention to the face of the young woman who asked the actor Jeff Daniels a question. Well, again, lots of cursing ahead, just so you know. Use earbuds if you're not alone.
And depending on your age, seeing Jeff Daniels in this role will send you for a loop because everybody knows him from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
This is definitely not Dumb or Dumber.
So we'll see you on the other side.
See ya.
Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm a sophomore, and this is for all 3 of you. Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis?
Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Will?
The New York Jets.
No, I'm going to hold you to an answer on that. What makes America the greatest country in the world? Why is America
Not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer.
You're saying...
Yes.
Let's talk about...
Fine. Sharon, the NEA is a loser. Yeah, it accounts for a penny out of her paycheck, but he gets to hit you with it anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money. It costs votes. It costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose. If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always?
Hey.
And with a straight face, you're gonna tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom? Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yeah, you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. And one of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed, we cared about our neighbors, we put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed by great men, men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. Enough?
So, what do you think of that video, huh?
Not bad.
Now's a good time to make a mental note. Send us your questions. So let's introduce the idea of myth itself. We're not talking about epics.
Or sagas.
We're not talking about legends like Robin Hood.
Right. Or fantasies, things that are just dreamed up.
No, you mean Tolkien is not?
It's not, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm no Tolkienista.
We're not talking about tall tales like John Bunyan.
Yep. Or fables like Aesop.
Yeah. We're not talking about even history.
Nope. Or parables, as a lot of the holies have spoken in.
Yeah. We're not talking about anything that's scientifically literal.
Yeah.
We're just talking about once upon a time, some story in which we find ourselves and our meaning and purpose and future. Okay? So you've got, once upon a time.
Yeah.
Fill in the blanks after that.
Right, exactly. Limitless.
Let's start off with two Greek words. Logos is the first one. You've heard of logos. It's in John chapter 1. Jesus is identified as the logos or the word. That's the Greek. Originally it meant for linear and rational discourse, such as the kind you'd find in a lecture like this, I hope, in a sermon or a magazine article, the Constitution, etc.
Yep. Then there's also mythos.
Mythos, yes.
Right? And mythos is a non-scientific story about what's thought to be true, operant.
Yeah, okay. Test cases. If I say that my heart is on fire, do you go for the nearest fire extinguisher and put me out and douse me?
Hope not.
No.
That'd be funny.
No. And I'm going to date myself here, but in 1960s and 1970s, when you talked about money, you wouldn't use the word money or cash. You'd use the word bread. Hey, mister, you got some bread?
Right.
So myths can sometimes get outdated, just like bread and money.
Therefore, so a myth doesn't have to be factual to be true.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Think about it. Our worldviews don't have to defend these non-factual stories as true.
Okay.
Right?
So, but somehow we operate them as if they are true.
As if they are true.
That's like last time's operating system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's the belief of them to be true.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. A myth is that story that a culture will come up with in order to explain how it got there, what it's supposed to be doing, what its future is, and most of the people in that culture will believe it. And you got to have a critical mass to believe it. Mm-hmm. But when we get to creation myths, it's going to be a symbolic narrative of how the world began and how people first came to inhabit it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to use the word etiology or etiological. They are very etiological. They explain that which is or that which has come to be. For example, in the book of Genesis, there's a lot of etiologies. Why is there a 7-day week? Okay.
No idea. Because the world was made in 7 days.
But do you think they not had 7-day weeks already?
Before that?
Yeah, they had to explain what already was.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'll explain why rainbows happen. Why are there so many languages?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is marriage?
Yeah.
And what does marriage mean?
Now, here's where we're going to get a little bit crazy, because when we talk about the word biblical marriage, most people think about Genesis, one man, one woman, but there's actually about 7 or 8 actual instances of marriages in the Bible. So you have 7 or 8 biblical marriages, and most people don't like them all. So you have the idea of, for the etiology, also why a snake crawls on its belly.
Right?
Okay, so these kind of things are just always, in many creation stories, things get explained, so you know why you're here. Nearly all creation stories have a stage where there was, at first, chaos. And then something happened to calm or to order this chaos. They also have this stage where animals and plants and people arrive, and these myths explain how they were created and why.
So once there was chaos,
Yeah.
right? Everything was just going into left field. There was total chaos.
Yeah.
Now there's not chaos, at least in the same sense.
Yeah.
And so the story of God provided is the reason why.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the launch pad
Yeah.
for the rest of it.
Right. So other etiologies, I'm sure you'll recognize a lot of these already, but so we're not going to tell you anything new, but we're going to give you a word by which to frame them, and that is etiology. They include explanations such as Zeus. His lightning bolts are why lightning happens.
Pandora's box explains why and how evil happens.
Yeah. It's a good story.
Yeah.
In the Zuni mythology, the Mother Earth and the Sky Father create the world and its features, like the Earth Mother's spitting into a bowl of water to create foam. It explains the origins of land.
So the Mesopotamian mythology, in the Enuma Elish, the god Marduk, right, creates the earth and the sky from the split body of the primordial mother serpent Tiamat, providing a mythical explanation for the world's structure.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's what they knew and what they believed in.
Yeah. Now, in Sumerian theology, which is not far from the Israelite mythology, the Sumerian tale of Enki and Ninmah features the creation of humans from clay. Does that ring a bell? By the gods, serving as an explanation for why humans have earthly origins and how we have this connection with the land.
So in Old Norse mythology, the creation of the world from the body of the primordial giant Ymir, right? Y-M-I-R. His flesh becoming the earth, the blood the seas, the bones the mountains. It's another example of an etiological creation story.
Okay. We have some non-religious etiological stories, and you'll recognize these, especially in Rudyard Kipling's Just So Stories. These are children's stories that are modern examples of this etiology, explaining things like how the elephant got its trunk, or how the camel got its hump, or how the rhino got its tough skin, or how the leopard got its spots, like my bow tie today.
Yeah.
Okay, so we
Nice
human
touch.
beings, sorry, we human beings like to explain things, but most of all, these myths explain how and why we got here, and what are our roles to play.
So creation stories, once upon a time.
Okay, we're going to just have a bunch of creation stories summarized right here. We're going to go back and forth and just get some of these out so you understand how the diversity of these stories. The Hopi Indians. The world at first was an endless space in which existed only the Creator, Taiwa. The world had no time, no shape, no life except in the mind of the Creator.
And back to Norse, like I mentioned before, in the beginning of time, there was nothing. There was no sand, there was no sea, there was no cool waves, there was no heaven, no earth, nothing existed.
From the Maori native tribe, all humans are descended from one pair of ancestors, Rangi and Papa, who are also called heaven and earth.
And then from the Cherokee, very close to where we are, so the earth began as nothing but water and darkness, and all the animals in Galunti, which I believe that's how it's pronounced, and above the stone vault that makes up the sky. So eventually, Galunlati became so crowded that the animals needed more room. So they wanted to move out of there, come down here to Earth.
Okay, and that explains why Earth
there was
gets
space.
populated.
Yeah.
Okay, so and more stories. In the beginning, according to the Kono folks in Guinea, there was nothing, neither matter nor light existed. In this world lived only Death, whose name is Sa, and his wife and their only daughter. Needing a place for his family to live, Sa eventually used his magical powers to create a vast sea of mud. They lived in this filth and instability for many years.
And then going back to Native American tribes, the Apache, in the beginning, just like Cherokee, in the beginning there was nothing. Only darkness, water, and cyclone. Cyclone was the wind.
Yeah. In the beginning, say the Hindus, there was absolutely nothing, and whatever existed was covered by death and hunger. The gods thought, let me have a self, and then he created mind.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Wow. Creation stories, third time around. Let's look at some more. So the Yoruba in Nigeria, the Yoruba tribe, long ago, well before there were any people at all life existed up in the sky. Olorun lived in the sky, and with Olorun were many Orishas. Okay? There were both male and female Orishas, but Olorun transcended male and female and was the all-powerful supreme being. Olorun and the Orishas lived around a young baobab tree.
Okay, so again, it's taking things that are important to that culture and putting it in the culture, put it in the story,
And making it,
kind of sacred.
yeah.
Long ago, says a Chinese myth, when heaven and earth were still one, the entire universe was contained in an egg-shaped cloud. All the matter of the universe swirled chaotically in that egg, and deep within that swirling matter was Pangu, a huge giant who grew in the chaos. And for 18,000 years, he developed and slept in that egg. Finally, one day he awoke and stretched, and the egg broke to release the matter of the universe. Works for me.
I mean, it's kind of a neat one.
Yeah.
Little bedtime story.
In the beginning, says Genesis 1, the Elohim, or the God, or gods, made the sky and the earth was shapeless, and everything was dark. The Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light that made day different from night, and that was the first day.
And then Genesis 2, on the day that Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, the land was dry and barren until a mist came up from the earth and wetted the land. Then Yahweh took dust from the earth and shaped it into the form of a man. And he breathed life into that form, and it came to life.
Okay, there's that clay coming to life again. Most Middle Eastern creation stories have the idea of clay. And humans being clay. According to the Wisconsin native folks, the Potawatomi, Earthmaker made the world with trees and fields, with rivers, lakes, and springs, and with hills and valleys. It was beautiful. However, there weren't any humans, and so one day he decided to make some. And then the story goes on and on.
And there it goes.
There you are.
So, some more creation stories. We're still looking at these. In Zimbabwe, in the Wakaranga tribe, before there was any life on earth, God made a man, and he named that man Moon. He sent Moon to live on the bottom of the sea. But Moon wanted to live on the land, and so despite God's warnings of how hard life would be on land, Moon moved up.
Yeah, and went to live on the land. Okay, and that probably explains why life is hard.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the beginning, there were neither sun, nor stars, nor anything else that we know today. For a long time, the only man was man never known on earth. That was the name. He created everything.
Yep.
So,
And that's that.
yeah. And each one of these could go on for paragraphs and paragraphs, and you'd get to get all the full mythology there. So let's give myth an academic definition, because we've been looking at myth so far. It's not a lie, but a worldview. This is the way things began and how things work. In this story, you get the secret.
And so myths are the vehicles that we use to express things like our origins, right? Where we came from.
Yeah. They explain our experiences, How do we interpret these days and what's happening in these days?
Yep. They explain our potentials, like what's going to happen next? What can I expect
Yeah.
in life?
Yeah. They also talk about our ends, our destiny, our fate.
There's also the idea of how to live. It explains how we're supposed to live, our ethics, our ethical behaviors.
Yeah, what's good ethics versus what's bad ethics. Also, the idea of gods, and I do put that in plural, gods.
Yep. It explains what's possible and what's impossible.
Yeah. And then here's one thing they really do well. They talk about your and my freedom and liberation. Like AA would say, hi, my name is Mark and I'm an alcoholic. These myths supply the only means by which I can experience freedom and transformation, which is what all good stories, religions do, whether they're religious or not.
Right.
So what are some functions of religious myth?
So myth functions primarily as a literary and metaphorical conduit through which followers are reconnected with what Rudolf Otto terms the mysterium tremendum of the universe.
Remember that from classes past?
Yep.
Yeah. These myths, these stories get us in touch with the non-negotiable important things of our lives. It is the things that we would never, ever compromise.
Right. So myth is the story of us and my place in this us.
Yeah.
Right? Us being
Yeah.
all this.
So they order the world in which, if there weren't a story, it would be chaos. Some more purposes of myth: to produce awe at that mysterium tremendum at work, like rainbows and thunderstorms and earthquakes and things like that.
To interpret and explain the obvious shows integration of cosmos with the visible world through etiology. So like we said, Genesis 2:24, for this reason the man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh.
Yeah. The word marriage is not mentioned, but that's what people take it to be. Other etiologies, Genesis is just full of them. Rainbows, languages, marriages, snake crawling, just to start a long list.
We could go on for days.
Yeah. What are some more purposes?
Well, to validate and support a specific moral order.
Yeah.
Right.
The powers that be who gave us those myths have a certain moral and ethical order that they want to uphold.
A code.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have to be part of the program, or we will be cast out, which could mean death in some places. So they give us this idea of who is the we and who is the they, who is the other.
And in that, who we validate and who we invalidate. So who is the other these days?
Yeah. Who is the other these days?
Yeah.
I'll let you answer that for yourself. Who are the others? And do we have stories that tell us why? Okay. They also tell us when it's okay to be things like rich
Or famous.
or pregnant
Or to go to war. Or to make peace.
and just millions of other states. For society has an interest in shaping people in the demands of its time. And these societies want us all to get in line with no dissenters. So they have a story that we all are supposed to share as a way to organize us. Can you say #politics?
Politics? Yeah.
Yeah. Here's an example of a story that allows killing. I took it at Auschwitz. Are you in this picture, this story? You know where this picture was taken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that crest anywhere.
Right outside where we are here. And graduation day. And of course, you can tell what story they're in, what mythos they're in.
Yeah.
Are you in it?
Have you been in it?
Yeah. So, myths are everyday assumptions. Remember, of course, the newsroom clip?
That we just watched? Yeah. So the conditioning that a society produces to give us maps or directions on how to live, eat, marry, work, etc., name it.
There are worldview stories.
Yeah.
There are instruction set. The original, not the original instruction, but society's instructions for how you are to be part of that society.
Yeah, like how we began.
How we are special and they are not.
And I mean, just in general, how we're to live.
Yeah.
Are we to live well?
Yeah.
And what does well mean?
Yeah. And just in case you're feeling pretty smug about your creation story, remember this. The holy myths we believe are wholly a product of where and when we are born. Nothing is just a lottery. It's just chance. We create myths, and then they return the favor. They create us in turn. Myths create our versions of the world in which we live and have people with genders and classes and things like that. And they populate this world with their functions.
It actually makes me think of Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yes. Yeah.
We create the house, or does the structure create us?
Yeah.
Okay. But they function as true, even if, when uncovered by our assumptions, they may not be scientifically true, not provable, quote unquote. So, an example: I can assume the world's flat.
Yeah.
Right? It's a big disc. And I can get away with that most of the time. Why? Because the myth organizes my experiences into a story, like a linear story.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. They function as true. And you can go most of your life by operating with the world is flat. Okay?
Yeah.
But just don't ask your airplane pilot to work with that.
Or an astronaut.
Yes.
Or a physicist.
Yes. So here's some myths and stories that we live by. Be fruitful and multiply, and not we deserve to live instead of dying out as a species.
How about the fall of humanity? Instead of there's really nothing wrong with us.
We weren't born wrong.
We weren't born wrong.
Yeah.
We just got there.
Yeah. There's this myth that some people think is in the scriptures. God helps those who help themselves instead of God helping the helpless, which is probably more like it.
Right. Or how about this one? You get what you deserve. What goes around comes around. Karma's a bitch.
Yes. Yes.
But instead of the universe, random chaos exerting a more powerful force upon life.
Yeah. When I was growing up, this myth was very solid. Nobody questioned it. The woman stays at home and is silent instead of being assertive in every sphere of her life.
Right? We talked about karma or fate. Everything happens for a reason. So that's fate instead of chaos.
Yeah. Okay. And I have a whole day dedicated in my classes just to everything happens for a reason or not. And we take a vote before, and then we discuss it and debate it, and then we take a vote after.
And see if your mind's got changed.
Yeah, and minds always get changed. Either way. How about this myth? Innocent until proven guilty?
Oof.
Ooh, instead of guilty and proven innocent?
How about the idea of a chosen people? Like we've all heard the 144,000. A chosen people instead of every people, every race being equally chosen.
Yeah, we're not all womb mates, guys.
Right.
According to these stories, only a few of us get to be that way.
Right.
How about the world is good and trustworthy instead of evil and capricious? Few people believe that.
Yep. Or how about violence is the best way to get what you want
That is a very popular mythology.
instead of turning the other cheek.
Yeah, very popular mythology. Yeah.
I mean, look around the world right now.
Yeah. And you may have one yourself or two that you live by, and you could add to them. Why don't you email those to us? So, here again, the myth that we believe in is 100% dependent upon when and where you're born. So, myths and stories are things that we kill for and die for.
Yeah. So, like the family stories, right? We are the Millers, and the Millers do blank.
Yeah.
The Millers never do blank.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it kills us.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Then there's these national stories for which we groom young people from birth to take in. And these national stories prepare them to kill and die for that story. And by the way, when you get that story so engaged with you, magnet nail, and it becomes such a part of you, you will not hesitate to die for your country. You will not hesitate to sacrifice yourself for that cause.
Right. And so let's think about this one. Everyone's heard this. Of course, there's jokes about it too, but
I'm not going to make any jokes
I
on
know,
you.
but till death do us part.
Yeah.
Right? Said at every wedding that you go to. So till death do us part, even if it kills me.
Yeah, and sometimes it does. Can I get a witness? What are the purposes of myths? They carry that individual through the various stages of life: birth, childhood, teenage years. Oh, that's crazy stuff. Early adulthood, old age, death. And they assist us with the various crises that happen so we know we're on the path. We're still on the beam. We're still in the story.
So when good and bad things happen to us, we find our narratives, our stories, to explain these mythically.
We hate having no reason. So we got to say there's got to be a reason.
There's a reason that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like God needed another angel.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Somebody passes away, you don't know why.
Yeah.
God needed another angel. It was her time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Only the good die young. Billy
Right.
Joel.
Yeah. It's a great song.
Yeah.
Or how about the Illuminati?
Yeah. Or something like that.
Or something close to that.
Or the
Yeah.
Democrats or the Republicans. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we use all kinds of things to justify what happens. So myths get people in touch with the mysteries of life, and they tell us very, very important information and truths about human life without having to report what literally, scientifically, historically, or factually actually occurred. They change our consciousness. And this myth is designed to present with us a believable image of a God that is above all of these stories, that wants our allegiance. Okay, so it fits hand in glove with us.
Mm-hmm. How myths see the world. Let's take a look at that. How myths shape how we see the world, right? Such as?
It's made in a certain number of days, 6 days, a week, 10 days, 100 days. It depends on the story.
Yeah. How about by a purposeful, intentional creator, the divinity?
Yeah, we don't want to be willy-nilly spontaneous combustion.
Nope. It was a decision that was made and something did that.
And so therefore we are purposeful driven beings.
Mm-hmm. And looking at creation as a whole, man and woman above everything else. We're the apex.
Yeah, humans make the story, so humans are the apex of the story. Animals are just mere companions and servants.
Right.
How myths see the world, part 2. There's some myths that see the world like a tree growing out of the earth that unites ground, sky, heavens.
Mm-hmm.
So it unites the lower, the visible, and then the higher realms. So guess which is most sacred? The higher realms.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in Taoist creation myth, Tao births unity. Unity births complements. Complements birth triads. From these come all things, carried forward by yin and embraced from behind by yang. All things increase and decrease in harmony.
Yeah.
Yin and yang.
You got a myth in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I love this. This is so myth-laden. It's got to be so heavy in your pocket. But on the back, you'll see 2 round circles. On the left, you'll see the annuit septus. That is, he has smiled on our accomplishments. And then novus ordo secularum, a new order of the ages. But look at what's going on here. There's a pyramid there. And what a pyramid does is as you climb that pyramid, you get higher and higher until you get to the tip top, and then you could look around without obstruction. Mm-hmm. And then that's how you're supposed to be using your reason. So this was a symbol of the deist. Remember deism from a recent class? So this is a way that deists would explain the creation myth. By when we go up the pyramid to the tip top, then we too have the same eye of God as God does. They like to call it reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then on the right-hand side, you've got the idea of this eagle, and with all these branches of peace on the left and branches of arrows on the right, and it's basically telling our enemies, you take your choice. We can present ourselves as peaceful, or we can present ourselves as warlike. So your call.
And it also, of course, says, e pluribus unum, which means out of many, one.
Yeah, very interesting stuff here.
Yeah, just on a dollar bill.
Yeah.
Lotus flower.
The lotus starts growing down in the really mucky, yucky, dirty ground underneath the pond or the lake. And then it grows up, and then it springs forth as this pure, unbelievably beautiful flower. And that says to Buddhists, this is your Buddha nature. Mm-hmm. This is who you really are. Okay, you may have come from muck, but you're really this kind of radiant, flower-like being.
Yep.
Got some Christian mythologies. Okay.
Lots of those.
Okay, on the left, guess what's coming up there? There's guy named Adam,
And
this
Eve.
woman named Eve, and then there's this guy, the serpent, which is not actually in the Bible, just to let you know.
Yep.
But it's the so-called fall of humanity.
Yeah, with the tree of
Yeah.
good and evil.
So for you critical thinkers, here's what's going on here, is that you have what Christians are doing is they're taking an old Jewish story just about how they think evil or bad things happen into the world, but they laden upon it all these huge expectations about sin, and that sin is something that we have inherited. We're born with it, whether we are born pure or not. No, we're born evil. And therefore, you've got to, according to this new mythology of Augustine, you've got to get that little Jesus patch on you to make sure that you are then saved. Because what happened there in the garden affected somehow all creation.
The original sin.
And many a Christian will believe that very much. It operates as true for them. Now, in the middle, Jesus is there to take care of all that stuff that happened in the Garden of Eden. All that original sin. He took our place on the cross that we should have, because of mythology, that we should be dying for already. And then I love this one on the right. It's the Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo, in which you got the Judgment Day, and all the people on the left side of here are the so-called goats from Matthew chapter 25, and the ones on the right are sort of the sheep, that is the good guys, and they arise, but the guys on the left, they are kind of predestined to hell. It's a fascinating story. And if you get your magnifying glass out and look at some of those faces at the bottom of this picture, it is just incredible.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Again, you got story logic here. Yeah, it's just story logic.
Yeah. I mean, no one asks, is it true?
If you do get kicked out, like I did in Sunday school.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't ask that question.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah. We just live in it. And the more we live in it according to the dictates of that story, then we become caught up more and more in that story. Magnet, nail, repeat.
Yep. It's like you in a movie theater suspending belief.
Yeah. Yeah. I settle into that movie theater and I say, my worries for the next 2-3 hours are gone, and I am just going to be in that story logic of that video, no matter how outlandish it is.
Yeah.
And it takes me places. It makes me cry. It makes me laugh. It makes me go, oh, it's big stuff. And that's
That's why we love movies.
That's why myths are kind of like the same way. Or like your favorite music. Do you like it because it's good? Or is it good because you like it? Listening more and more to your favorite music will not give you a logical answer.
But it may make you happier.
Yeah. Or
whatever the emotion is. Yeah.
Okay. And this slide was brought to you by Mrs. Nail and Mr. Magnet. But here's the primary function of myths. They assure us, who are the recipients of the story, that there's been somebody here before us. We're not alone. The labyrinth of life is already mapped. We only have to follow the path of our forebears, and it's mapped out in the myths and the stories. All we have to do is stay in the story, and we shall be safe or saved. And we shall find that at the end of the trail, that God is there, intertwined with the very trail that we have made. And that's what stories do.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So parables, the anti-myth.
Yes. Why'd you put it upside down, guys?
Because it's the anti-myth.
Yes. What parables do uniquely, and this is just an aside thought, but what they do is they take the reigning mythology of the day and say, really? Are you sure? And so when Jesus told the story of the parable of the Good Samaritan, he was overturning a story that had Jews at the top of humanity's list and the Samaritans at the bottom. So he made the Samaritan the hero to show you, hey, your story ain't good. Your story ain't good enough.
Right.
Okay. So that's the purpose of parables, is to overturn what we thought should be true. Here's where you'll really hate me. Myths and narratives and stories are like placebos. They give us expectations. Have you ever had a placebo?
We all have.
Maybe you actually, as a parent, gave your kid a placebo and said it was aspirin or the medicine, and it may have been a sugar pill.
Yep.
Okay.
But it helped.
It did help. Okay. These little white pills, we're told, will relieve a headache, and it does, even though it contained not a speck of headache-fighting medication. But if doctors and scientists and theologians can learn one thing about the placebo, it's this. There's nothing mere about how thoughts, beliefs, and the power of the mind can affect your body. And this may be one of our more controversial slides.
So creations and religious stories can be compared to placebos, right? I mean, not necessarily provable, in the way that they influence human psychology, behavior, and well-being in general, even if their factual basis may be unverifiable or symbolic, right? So here's how the comparison works.
Okay? First, belief is the active ingredient. Okay? Not something in the drug. It's belief. Because a placebo works because the person believes it will help. And so religious stories and creation myths have power because people believe in them. Okay?
So the placebo, right, is a sugar pill that reduces pain if you think that it does. And it's not just for pain. You know, they can say, well, this does this or this does that in your body, and you take it, and all of a sudden you see the effects of that, even though chemically it hasn't done anything. So in a religious story, there's a story about divine creation that can give meaning, comfort, or purpose as long as you believe it's true.
Yeah, and they both will alleviate chaos or pain and provide you with a sense of health. In both cases, belief itself triggers a real psychological or physiological response. Do you believe that?
I do, absolutely.
Okay,
I see it in therapy all the time.
Okay, yeah. Second of all, placebos shape perception and behavior.
Both can influence how people see the world and act within it, right? So the placebo side or the proven side, let's look at the pill again. It can affect you the same way.
Yeah. Okay. It can change outcomes. So religious stories can shape moral behavior, your life choices, your cultural norms. Okay. And these are not, sometimes these stories are not pressure tested, but we are the guinea pigs by which we then say, this is true for us. So even without religious or empirical truth, these placebos guide our actions, they guide our attitudes, and that quite effectively.
Yep. And just like in, say, therapy, in the therapeutic realm, they provide comfort in uncertainty.
Yeah.
They don't have to be proven if we believe they work.
Placebo effects are real even if their mechanisms are not empirical. That is, a placebo effect is scientifically documented. People get real results from fake treatments. Whoa. Can a religious person get real results from fake, unscientifically proven a priori stories? Yes,
absolutely. Think about the commercials that you see on TV all the time.
Yeah.
And it talks about this study that was done for this new drug. And if you look into that research, it'll show how many were given the pill that has the chemical in it and how many were given a control placebo.
Double blind.
Yeah, double-blind case studies.
So these myths can give us these psychosocial effects. Hope. That's powerful. Resilience. Powerful. Community cohesion. You can't beat that stuff. You cannot make it up. These are real, even if the stories are not real. A good example of how a myth works is with us with conditioned responses. Ever heard of Pavlov's bell?
My mouth's watering.
Yeah.
So Ivan Pavlov, right, rang a bell and gave his dogs food. Okay, so this is a positive association. An association that he drummed into them over and over and over. So he would ring the bell, the dogs would hear the bell, they would come, they would get some food. Eventually, through classical conditioning, he would ring that bell, and there was no food there, but the dogs came, salivated, they were ready to eat.
They had everything except the food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So swallowing something not real might help us to live better, to do better. Maybe, as long as it's a good story. Let's just make it a good story.
Yeah. Or does it?
Yeah. Well, let's start concluding. Here's some takeaways. No matter who we are, where we are, when we are, we all operate by myths.
Yep. And myths are our operating systems. They don't have to be real to be effective.
Yeah. Myths, think again, magnet and nail, they can become so true and assumptive and normal so that nobody questions them. And they become more and more sacred the more you tell them.
And the more sacred they are, the more they take on the qualities of a religion. No matter if the story liberates, enslaves, hates, loves, or does whatever it is.
So today's class and the last class are brought to you by these words: assume, etiology,
Myth, placebo,
and knock knock. This class is always fueled by your imagination and by your curiosity. So, a blessing to you. May your stories of yourself include lots of imagination and lots of curiosity.
but don't forget to do your critical thinking.
Because?
You don't want to become someone's bitch.
Thanks everybody for being with us. Again, we will not be back next week, 2 weeks from today. Our thanks go to Mars Hill University. Thanks again for being with us. Bye-bye.
See ya.